What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. As Fatty McFats points out, hump day, the humpiest day in fantasy, the happiest day on this channel because we answer any of your questions today, whatever you guys want. Yesterday we did waivers. Howard, after your week off,
What, Coop?
I noticed you let a lot of trade questions slip through the cracks yesterday after your week off. You came in, and I think you went a little easy on everybody, but you know what? That's yesterday. Today, we can do whatever we want. Whatever questions you guys want. Trades, start sits, waivers. Ask Howard what his favorite yogurt is. Ask Howard what his favorite Red Bull is. Ask Howard what his favorite recent movie he's seen. Whatever you guys want. So let me ask you, Howard. First question I wanted to ask. Did you add anybody off waivers?
Yes. Well, first and foremost here, thank you everybody for joining us. As always, fantasy football waiver wire ran last night. Trade deadlines are coming up. That's why I let all those questions sneak through, because a lot of trade deadline questions are coming up, and you got to prepare your roster for the upcoming playoffs, whether or not you're jockeying for position with your seeding, whether you're trying to punch your ticket to the big dance with the fantasy football playoffs we're week 11, dude.
Right.
Week 11, 12, 13, 14, 4 weeks basically left, 1 month for the regular season. So I figure we're going to have to do that. And you know what? We'll talk a little bit of our favorite trade targets that we're going to run through. I've got a video that'll pop up on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page. And by the way, thank you very much for tuning in here. If you could throw us a like, maybe a subscribe, If you're watching us on Twitter, if you're watching us over on Twitch, or whatever platform you see fit, please jump over here to YouTube and hit that like and subscribe button. It obviously is a nice free way to, say thank you for putting up with nonsense like HTTR from Greg Martinez every day. Throwing that on there. Yes, likes for Laney as well. Thank you, Toronto Dave, for jumping in on that. You know what, Coop? Waiver wire. It was kind of a Chargerlicious kind of waiver wire action for me. I'm in a league with like really short benches, like 3-person bench, and not only are you starting a quarterback, 2 running backs, a running back, wide receiver, 2 wide receivers, a wide receiver, tight end, and you're looking at a defense and IDP players. With only a 3-person bench, it gets a little complicated. So you have to sort of knock everybody, down a few pegs. For me, I went after Justin Herbert in that league, sitting there on the waiver wire. I love this matchup here against Cincinnati. I paired him up with Will Dissly because we talked about this yesterday. What was the what was it? Was the percentage of what was it? It was snaps to routes run to target share.
Right. So if you were to take just the percentage of targets per route run, so how often is the guy out there running around versus how many targets he gets? Number 1 at tight end right now is Evan Engram, which makes a lot of sense because he gets peppered. Number 2 is Will Dissly, right? Because he's actually quietly they don't throw a ton. He doesn't always run a ton of routes, but when he's out there, man, it's like 6 targets a game. So I can't ignore it. Can't ignore it, especially in PPR.
No, especially, when you're talking about what the state of the tight end position is right now, injuries to Laporta, injuries to, Dalton Kincaid, grabbing a guy like Will Dissly, even if it's just going to be for a week, should certainly pan out. I added Ricky Pearsall in another league, pretty psyched about that. And then I made a move and I just grabbed the Packers defense. Didn't put any kind of, I had like a super low waiver priority. I didn't need any position players over there. Might as well just throw in the Packers and put the Bears to the test, right? New offensive coordinator. What are they going to do? Is the team going to rally around the new coordinator, or is the team still stuck in the mud because Matt Eberflus is the one, guiding that ship? So I figure the Packers are worth the shot. What about you? Anybody you add?
In one league where I've been struggling a bit, I I usually don't go 0 RB, Howard, but in this particular league, what happened was I had keepers that set me up to go 0 RB. So it's like I put in some keeper picks that ended up being in spots that forced me to kind of not have picks available in those rounds. You know what I mean? So I went 0 RB in one of those leagues. I did drop the hammer on Audric Estime trying to catch lightning in a bottle. In another league, I did deeper league. I spent a little bit on Noah Brown. besides that, I just felt at wide receiver this week for the most part, there were enough very similar, decent guys that I kind of just waited and woke up this morning and picked up guys. And I did the same thing as you. I added the Packers in one league. I added the Browns for screaming defense in a league. I added Jake Bates, who was available for some reason, who I have ranked like top 3 kicker. It's so weird
You
how
know what though? I mean, with the amount of times that, and I know that Bates has had a couple of good games, but with the amount of times that Dan Campbell likes to go
goes
for it,
yeah.
right? You know,
but
it's like how many field goal opportunities does he really get?
But he's gaining the confidence. That's the thing is that,
Yeah.
we picture him doing it, and he does do it more often than a lot of we have this problem a lot of times with the Chargers. So it is still a problem. But like this week, I look around and it's not just me. Across the industry, a lot of people have him ranked either 1 for this week or top 3 just because how good the matchup is. So I was like, but what I was saying is that like on ESPN, he's rostered in like 80% of leagues. On Yahoo and Sleeper, only 40%. It's just
Really?
very strange, right? Like, I don't know why. Somebody over at ESPN's pumping the tires, I guess. But
Right. Mike Clay's like Mike Clay's number 1 guy. Everybody's like, I'm gonna get him. I gotta get him.
It's funny how that happens, right? So yeah, I added him, and I did. What was the other move I did? I added Russell Wilson in a league, in a single QB league, and I'm going to start him this week in that league. I have Baker Mayfield's on bye.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Please, in a super flex league, I'm still probably going to be rocking Drake May and Mac Jones.
Not so bad last week.
I won that game though. I won that game. That's the best part about
it. Good matchups for May. Good matchup for Bo Nix. So this week it's not so bad scrapping for quarterback and tight end. Next week it's going to be a little tougher. So we'll make sure to the streamers article next week is going to be a very special one. And I even in this week's one I mentioned in the stashes article, I was like, hey, you know what? Jatavian Sanders, Theo Johnson, like not guys we typically start, but if you have, because what ends up happening, Howard, is the folks out there that have Cade Otton and Trey McBride, they add a tight end this week, and then they have no obligation to drop that guy, so you can use him next week. You know what I mean? So I looked ahead to 2 guys that were on bye this week that would not get picked up that you can potentially use next week if you have Kyle Pitts, if you have Evan Engram, if you have Mike Gesicki, if you have an additional tight end that escapes me right now that is a very useful tight end in fantasy. So definitely check your bye weeks and make sure you got a plan, dog.
No doubt about it. All right, before we start getting to the questions in chat, and there are going to be a ton of questions here. We obviously know that trade deadlines are coming up. And, and I'm getting a lot of questions about, who's your favorite target? Who would you go after? So I did a video this morning when I gave a couple of them here. I'll give 2 of the players here right now. You give me 2 trade targets of yours if you like. I'll start.
Now, I got to say, Howard, whenever I hear you say who's your favorite, my mind immediately goes to the clip of you going, Pokemon, who's your favorite?
We're talking Pokemon. Who's your favorite?
We're talking trades, Howard. Who's your favorite?
Monday's show with the Rams playing on Monday Night Football. Sham Blunt was dropping the Puka Nakua. Who's your favorite Pokemon? Puka Nakua.
That guy's a legend, dude. Shout out to the caller.
All right. Well, I do want to know who your favorite is. I've got 2. I'll give you both of mine right now. Kenneth Walker. All right. Because listen, the dude's a bell cow back in Seattle. I stop with the Zach Charbonnet stuff. Does Zach Charbonnet get mixed in every once in a while? Sure. But you're looking at Walker, who's averaging 14 carries per game, averaging 5 targets per game. And if you look at the schedule beyond San Francisco this week, he's got Arizona twice. He's got the Jets. He's got the Packers, and he's got the Bears. All like terrible run defenses. So I think that if you're looking for a back to like really like a sturdy guy to have throughout the playoffs here, like he's a guy that I want to target. Like if you're sitting there and you've been like playing around with like J.K. Dobbins or, one of these other guys, like, you need to like shore up the position. Like Walker, I think he's a sneaky target because not a lot of people like really are in on him because of Zach Charbonnet's presence, which is again ridiculous. But that's one. The other one is Calvin Ridley. And I'll tell you what, it's a tough matchup this week, not going to lie, but beyond, well, first and foremost, since they traded DeAndre Hopkins, 32 targets in 3 weeks.
Is that good?
It is. It's pretty good. he's averaging 100 yards per game. He had like 145 yards one game, but then he had like 70 some odd yards and 85 yards the next. He's got 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games as well. Upcoming matchups, Houston. He's got the Jaguars twice, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Greg, put your little earmuffs on to protect your little baby ears. But he's gonna have Washington, which means that I don't know, a gimpy Marshawn Lattimore and or Benjamin St. Juice. Ooh.
Yeah. Love it.
So there you go. Ridley and Walker for me, 2 guys I'm targeting in a number of leagues. How about you?
Yeah, so I've already mentioned James Conner, especially if Trey
Yes.
Benz is on your wire. Like, go look if Trey Benz is available on your waiver wire and you can trade for James Conner, do a 2-for-1 for James Conner and then use that roster spot on Benson, and you essentially lock up the starting back for the best running schedule for the playoffs. It's the Patriots, it's the Panthers, it's the Rams. To your Calvin Ridley one, I'll also throw out Malik Neighbors. The way I look at
Yes.
Neighbors is this, right? I say if there's a quarterback change, all right, good, because it's either going to be better or they're going to go back. Like, with this Flacco situation, now they're going back. It's like it's either going to be what it is now or it's going to be better. And I love that. When you look at the schedule coming out of the bye, it doesn't get any better than this. The Titans and the Giants easily have the first 2 schedules. You just gave the Titans. Here's the Giants. Coming out of the bye week, Tampa Bay, Dallas, the Saints, who just traded away their best corner, Baltimore, who's been the stone worst team in the league versus the pass, Atlanta, who's 26 in DVOA, and also the Colts, who have been brutal. So, the schedule doesn't get much better for a guy like Malik Neighbors. And the other one I'll throw out there, because we've talked about trading for Devon Achane because of his, his ability, but I always wonder with certain teams that the wheels are going to fall off or they're going to take it easy down the stretch. It is a reality of this league. You worry about it's a 2-win team. I look at a guy like Joe Mixon the same way I look at Kenneth Walker. Like, this is a team that's playing to win. They're getting healthy at the right time. He's locked in as the workhorse, and they're not going to be able to take any of these games off down the stretch. Like, I know they're going to be tough games, but they could be shootouts. They got Miami, they got the Chiefs, they got Baltimore, and he could be catching a lot of passes. They're going to have to play to win during that entire stretch, and that's what you want to avoid is teams just kind of packing it up. And there's a lot of that out there. There's a lot of teams that you're going to see, like the Patriots this week. They said, hey, you know what? Let's just let the young kids play. Kendrick Bourne didn't play a single snap. He played 78 the week before, and they finally just said, we're just going to let the young kids play. As soon as these teams get eliminated, they're going to start saying, hey, you know what? Let's start seeing what we have for next year. That's not good for fantasy. We don't want weird rotations. We want starters playing the whole game. So guys like Mixon, guys like Kenneth Walker, like these guys, Kyron Williams, these teams that are going to be playing for keeps. That's what we want.
Now you just brought, and I love the calls. I absolutely love the calls. And Malik Neighbors may or may not be the 3rd guy I mentioned in my video.
Ooh.
Spoiler alert on that front, right? Yeah, because I kind of channeled my inner Coop talking about Drew Lock and the Huckett Chuckett football that you're going to end up seeing for the Giants there. Now, you mentioned Anthony Richardson. Now, we just got an announcement here. The Colts are going back to A-Rich. I didn't drop him in the leagues that I have him in, right? And now I'm looking at this game here against the Jets, and I got to be honest with you, I feel like there's some good sneaky upside to scoring in this game because the RPO work against a team as feeble against the run as the Jets have been, right? Jonathan Taylor running, Anthony Richardson running. I really feel like that's something that, we're going to see a lot of. And I feel like that's one of the reasons, one of the driving forces, other than the fact that Joe Flacco is 137 years old and he uses a walker. I feel like that was one of the driving forces of bringing A-Rich back right now after a 2-game benching, not just because Flacco's bad, but this matchup looks good on paper for that. And then you've got a terrible Colts secondary. And so you're going to have Aaron Rodgers chucking it to Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson over and over again. So I feel like that game's got some sneaky upside to it and some interesting scoring options.
Yeah, and I've already done the math, Howard, right? So
I was just told there would be no math here, Coop.
Well, I did the math, and it's actually very important. It's very scientific math that I've done. And what I did was I looked at how many games Jacoby Brissett started, which was 5. And behind him, Drake May came out, obviously, perfect angel, right? So then I looked at how many games that Joe Flacco had started, and it was only 3. So then they went and had him start 2 more games, and now they're benching him again. So now they're at 5. So that now that he's sat behind Joe Flacco for 5 games, just like Drake May did, perfect angel.
Perfect angel.
Tell me if the math doesn't check out on the
I
number of games you need to sit behind like a 38-year-old veteran quarterback. I think the math is there, right? Yeah, hold on, double checking my math, checking the
carry the 4.
Yeah,
checks out.
Perfect angel, right? That's what I came out to.
Perfect angel.
Yes, I will say
just
one guy.
Right here.
One guy on a serious note, like the arguments I've been seeing on my timeline, I decided to make a joke, which is very dangerous on Twitter, but I did. And a lot of people are coming at me and they're saying that that Josh Downs had his best game of the season with Anthony Richardson. Therefore, Josh Downs will be good with Anthony Richardson, which I believe to be a fairly disingenuous argument. I went in and I did pull the numbers on that. Richardson has played 191 plays. Flacco has played 207. I would call that, a small mark. We're talking 16 plays either way. It's very similar, right? Richardson, 133 pass attempts. Flacco, 170. Flacco willing to throw a lot more. No matter how you break it down on a per target, per play, per snap basis, Flacco has targeted and been more successful at getting the ball to Josh Downs by far than Richardson. With Richardson, he has 9 receptions for 145 yards and 1 touchdown in a very similar number of snaps. And keep in mind, 69 of those yards came on a broken play that was completely broken coverage, wide open touchdown. So the touchdown and 69 yards came on that one play. Flacco, 36 receptions, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns. We're talking 48 targets versus 18 targets on basically 200 plays for both players. I love Josh Downs. I told everyone to trade for Josh Downs this June. I said JSN, Downs, Jaden Reed. Trade for those guys in Dynasty. But for redraft moving forward, this is bad for Josh Downs. There's just no way to slice it. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, there you go. I channel my inner. Shout out to Drew Scott from Fantasy and Frames. 69. Good job.
There it is.
All right, should we get to the let's get to some of the chat questions there and say hello to everybody. You want to read questions? You want me to read questions?
I'll read. I'm hosting today.
All right, you read today.
First,
I will sit back and just look pretty.
Jerry says Coop. Should I actually check and see if any came in before we got in here?
Well, Jerry wants to throw a penalty flag at the Cowboys and Jerry Jones for not having a decent backup like Dalton or Flacco, for not getting Derrick Henry. Okay, it's a Jim Bowden flag that he's throwing there.
Right.
But DM7819 says, which defense do you got this week? Ravens, Dolphins, Rams, or the Saints?
Yeah, tough day for that decent backup Flacco comment because he's back to being a backup. So of those DSTs, I do have the Dolphins ranked high. So we have Miami has Vegas, which is a good matchup. The Ravens have Pitt, which is all of a sudden not that good of a matchup. The Rams have the Bengals, which I don't know. No, they have the Patriots.
No, Rams have the Pats. Yeah,
the Pats, and then the Saints have the Browns. I don't really. I have Miami ranked highest of that group. I did my rankings this morning for defense. Those are up at Fantasy Alarm. All the rankings are up at Fantasy Alarm. But I would go with either the Dolphins or I would go with the I guess the Rams against the Pats and just try for turnovers because the Ravens have just not been a good defense. They haven't been, and the Saints, they have so many injuries. They traded away their best player. I just don't see who's going to make a play. Who's going to make the play? That's the problem. So that's how I look at that one. All right. Howard, would you start Estime or Mostert? You got a high risk, high reward Estime play or the Mostert chasing touchdown play? He really didn't play much this past week, though.
Well, he didn't. And then Mike McDaniel actually came out and said specifically that that Mostert didn't get any carries as part of what their game plan was for this particular matchup against the Rams. I don't really understand what your game plan was to eliminate carries for the guy you say leads your backfield. So it's a little upsetting on that front there. I'm almost at the point. I think Estime's got a great matchup here, but I almost feel like everybody's going to flock to Estime and Mostert's going to be the guy against the Raiders. So I think for Mike McDaniel saying that, and specifically saying that Mostert still leads this backfield, I'm going to lean Mostert in a much softer matchup against the Raiders.
Yeah. All right, I feel you on that. Plus, it's touchdown equity. And with Estime, it's not this whole hot hand thing. He could easily go out and have like 2 bad carries, and then they go back to somebody else. So,
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised, Howard. I put in a claim last week in Scott Fishbowl to drop Estime for someone, and I lost the bid. So I just had him on my team still, even though I tried to drop him. And then this week I was like, suckers. Of course, I already. Even though folks might not realize that I
Idiots.
did my best to drop him, and then this week I was like, I'm so smart, I already have him. I don't need to put in any claims. Stupid like a fox. Rod wants to know he was offered Shakir for Kareem Hunt. Other RBs are Kenneth Walker, Gibbs, and Hall. So pretty good on running backs. Wide receivers are DK, Chase, and Adams, and Debo. So pretty good on wide receivers. So it's just a matter of who you like better, Khalil Shakir or Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, is this the Pacheco owner? Like that's what I need to know, Rod. Like if you're making this move and you're getting Shakir for Hunt from the Pacheco owner, A, maybe you get a little bit better of a receiver, or B, why don't you turn around and shop Hunt to the Pacheco owner? The Chiefs opened up the 21-day practice window. We're still looking at late November for a possible return for Pacheco. And then the question is what's going to happen? With that. So before you pull the trigger on this, which I'm fine with pulling the trigger on this based on who you have, I'm fine with this move because it's only a depth move for you. I would just try to see if you can just squeeze a little bit more out.
Yeah, fully agree. And I mean, it's just like, when are you ever going to consider Shakir? Because, like, I don't know. You got 4 good wide receivers. Shakir's not even close to being in that class for me. TD, what up, dog? Would you trade McLaurin for B-Rob? Only have Taylor and Jacobs at RB. Would still have Cup, AJ, T. Higgins at wide receiver if he lets McLaurin go. So McLaurin for B-Rob.
I only have Taylor and Jacobs. Still have Cup, AJ, and T. Higgins. I mean, I don't know what T. Higgins' deal is there. I think it's a fine trade, as far as like just getting that third running back. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I almost feel like with McLaurin and the numbers that he's putting up, that why can't you get somebody better than a banged up Brian Robinson, who may or may not even play this week?
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. He's been. Yeah. I mean, if it's a 2 wide receiver league, I would definitely do it. If you start 3 wide receivers in a flex, I probably wouldn't do it. That's where I stand on it. If it's a 2 wide receiver league, I would definitely do it. Actually, no,
that makes sense.
Just traded Najee and Ingram for Monty. Honest thoughts, Howard. So no lying.
Just traded okay. I can't make this up.
If you were
traded
thinking about
Najee and Ingram for Monty, I mean, I think it's fine. I really do. I like Najee, and he is the lead back over there, especially when Jaylen Warren's fumbling at the 1.
Yeah.
Right. But Monty is like as automatic as you can get. I think if you have a solid tight end already that you've been playing on the regular, then I think it's a fine move because Najee, I think a lot of people still play the matchups. If you've got David Montgomery, like unless you have like a Bijan Robinson and a Breece Hall like sitting there as the 1-2 punch, then Monty should be an every week start for you.
Yeah. The caveat is, do you have a tight end that's better than Ingram? Right. If you have, like, if you're doing this when your other tight end is like Jake Ferguson or even like Hawkinson, then maybe I don't love it. But if you have like McBride or Kelsey or somebody, then or even Kate Otten, then do it. But I got to know who your other tight end is.
Sweet little Kate Otten.
Sweet baby Kate Otten. B-Rob out, roll Warren or Estime, or just start Warren. I think B-Rob is supposed to play. He's been limited in practice, so it would be a little bit of a surprise, but
I would roll out Estime over Warren.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you. Likes for Laney. I can't subscribe any farther. Pull over. I can't pull over any farther. Well, I appreciate you guys who are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, hit that like. If you're watching on Twitter, that's fine. But if you were to come to YouTube at any point, like if you ever use YouTube for anything, maybe in the future, maybe you pop out of the old fashioned line. Maybe you throw a little like and we'll subscribe on there. Shout out to the Twitch gang too. Same deal. Start the dismissal, Will Disley, or Fryer up the Moose with Pat Fryermuth. What do you think, Howard? That's kind of a tough one these days because Russell Wilson, his style of play isn't conducive to just taking a 3-step drop and throwing it to the tight end over the middle.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. But I mean, you look at here, he would have to drop either Noah Brown or Fryermuth to add Disley.
Oh no.
So then I would probably just stay put and just lock in Fryermuth.
Not worth it. It's not worth it. Is Anthony Richardson worth a pickup? Absolutely. Anybody that's willing to run is worth a pickup. Mathematically speaking, if you're willing to run 6 or more times per game, your floor is QB1 in fantasy production. That's kind of been statistically proven. So I swear, even if Trey Lance becomes a starter, you have to think about it. You have to at least think about it. I dropped the Chargers defense and picked up the Texans. I think that's
I love that move. Texans against the Cowboys.
Yeah, you're not going to start. You can't start Can't start any defense against Joe Burrow right now. Too good. PPR, no, it might be a stretch, but if B-Rob is good to go, would you start him over Chubb or Hall?
No.
No. I was able to scoop Estime and Deontay Johnson from waivers. Gus is still sitting there. Drop Gorm for Gus. Only pick up Gus, Rod, in that situation if you're going to start Gus this week. Or if you look at your schedule, if you're going to start Gus this week or next week, do it. Otherwise, keep the handcuff. Because Gus is exactly Gus. 7 or 8 carries. You know what I mean?
For 38, 39 yards.
He either scores or he doesn't. That's it. Yeah.
The floor is lava.
It's truly. It's like, what is it? The thing is, though, it's like he has an okay floor. He's gonna get the ball, but I mean, what are you expecting? Quincy, this one, Howard, bench 1 of Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, or Moondog, the Moon Boy.
Wow, that's a tough one there. Mooney's got a tough matchup. Drake London will see a lot of Patrick Surtain, right? So then does that free up Mooney a little bit here? I think I would rather go with I would sit Jennings out of this group instead of going with the 2 San Francisco wide receivers. I would keep Deebo in there. Kupp, Lamb, Mooney is where I would go.
Yep. Defer if we think opportunity is the same, defer to talent. And I think Juwan Jennings, as much as I like his opportunity, probably doesn't have the talent level of those other guys. Yeah. Can't bench Lamb. I can't do it.
Not yet.
Brunch is in the house. I have Kittle in one league and Kincaid in another. Zach Ertz is my backup in both, but he plays Thursday. Is Disley close enough to Ertz to pick him up so I can wait and see on Kittle and Kincaid? I mean, Disley and Ertz at this stage are actually pretty much the same thing. They offer nothing in the yak department. It's all target-based PPR scam play. So it's close enough for me to do that for sure.
Yep. Agreed.
Baker on bye. Should I pick up Carr or JMO, Howard?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna go with JMO here. Yeah. It's a tough secondary sometimes with Cleveland. It's not the be all end all, but it's definitely better than the secondary for the Saints.
No question.
Right. And so, that Jameis is going to be throwing, and you also have that revenge game narrative there for Jameis Winston. You guys let me go. You guys went with this guy over me, for crying out loud. Not to mention the fact that, who's Carr throwing the football to?
Right.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Mason Tipton. Right. I hear they're going to bring back Kyle Kirkwood.
I think it's time, dude. The last part of it that you have to factor in, which Carr, I swear, when I get into that range where you're looking for tiebreakers, Carr always loses the tiebreaker because Taysom Hill. He's the only quarterback that they take out of the game. Every other quarterback, if the team plays 65 snaps, the quarterback plays 65 snaps, except for Taysom Hill. That he plays like 62. You know what I mean?
Smelling that pie, Coop?
Yeah, dude, I finally I'm in 2 shower a day regimen to get it.
Q-tips in the nose, digging around,
trimming nose hair. Yeah, it's like this part of my mustache, man. It's just like people don't know that when you do the pie bat, dude. It gets all up in the mustache. And why does it? I'm not going to get into it. Lauren's question had a caveat at the end. I would not go Hawk unless it's super flex. the rule of thumb in PPR in Superflex is that the player you're putting in there needs to be a lock for 10 plus points because 25 QBs every week score 10 points. It is not hard to score 10 points. Watch the game that Daniel Jones played last week. He scored like 14 points and he was terrible. Like for quarterbacks, it's just the floor is too good. This week, Darnold, Geno, or Russ. I know what I'm doing, Howard, but I had this group is a tough one. So I want to hear what you think on this.
It is. I mean, it comes down to Russ or Geno for me. It really does. I'm going to take Darnold out of the equation. I don't like the matchup here against the Tennessee Titans. They're not a great defense, but they're not a bad defense. They're better than what they've been for that aspect. Geno's going to throw the ball. I mean, he threw for over 300 yards and one touchdown against the 49ers when these teams played a few weeks ago. So you know where you're at with Geno. He's going to be throwing the football heavily, probably get you 300 yards. You need the second touchdown out of him. Russell Wilson, I think, can be a little bit more efficient in this matchup here against the Ravens, who, I mean, listen, everybody's trashing the Ravens right now with their pass defense. Very dangerous move. Very dangerous move here. You know, Steelers are a 3-point dog at home. And I'll tell you what, if everything is so great about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, hottest team in football, right? Russell Wilson is like, he's turned this franchise around. And this is a horrible, horrible pass defense for the Ravens. Like all of a sudden you're talking about now it's Ravens are favored, a road favorite. So, I get it. The Ravens are probably overall, they're a better team, but I just feel like the Ravens are going to end up, stepping up a little bit more here. So I like Russell Wilson, probably get you 240. Maybe he gets you 2 touchdowns. So I think it's pretty even for me on that front. I'll lean Geno.
It's close for me as well, but I'm going Russ.
You're leaning Russ.
And at the end of the day, I think that like the points you made are exactly where I landed, where it's like both these guys are going to have to throw. I just think that it's as of this stage, it's much easier to throw on the Ravens than it is on the 49ers. If Charvarius Ward is out again, and I don't know the situation with that, but if he's out again, it's going to be closer for me. But if he's going to play, then I'm definitely going to go Russ there. So I would have Russ plugged in. I mean, Russ has been good. It's hard to argue with it. Plus,
let me ask you. Oh, okay, sorry, continue. I didn't realize you were still going.
I was just gonna say that they both have a chance to throw 2 touchdowns. They both are willing to run it in. You know what I mean? If it's open, so it's like you don't get any bonuses there. It boils down to defense for me.
Okay, quick question here on this front for a friend of mine who's been emailing me lately, and it's Geno Smith or Drake May.
Yeah. So I do have Geno ahead of May.
You do have Geno ahead of May. I have him ahead of May also, but it's not as heavy as like you would.
I have them. Think. I have them back to back. I have them back to back.
I just need. Why can't Geno throw for more than 2 touchdowns on a more consistent basis? I mean, I get it. DK Metcalf was out for a little bit, but come on,
because Kenneth Walker rules, dude. Kenneth
Walker does rule.
Kenneth Walker rules. I mean, that's part of the equation as well. And I will say this: that like Russell Wilson, he's only played 3 games, but in points per game, he's like QB7. And the craziest part of all of this is you go through these names and it's like Russell Wilson, you got Justin Herbert playing well, you got Jared Goff going against the Jaguars, and then we like Geno, we like Drake May, we even don't mind Sam Darnold, but it's like every week I have to put Patrick Mahomes in there out of respect to him, even though those guys are all been kind of playing better than him. And it's like I have that whole group of players, and I know Mahomes is going to be in there somewhere, but it's very difficult with that player. Like in league, I don't have him. I don't think I have him in any leagues, but you almost just start him because of name value. But like when you start looking at the numbers and setting everything up, it's really hard to rank that player. For fantasy, it's just like it's been too easy. I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Superflex start Russell Wilson, May or Tua. I'm sorry, Russ. That's where I'm definitely going.
Start 2. Who are you doing? It's a super flex.
Oh, I have Tua and May very close, but I mean Tua against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going Tua and Wilson here also.
14 team super flex. I have Jalen Wright or Noah Brown. And I'll tell you what, now would be a good time to maybe talk a little underdog in the game tomorrow night because I actually really like Noah Brown. I really like Noah Brown. I'm going to start Noah Brown over the third string running back for the Dolphins, a 2-win football team. So that's what I'm going to do. But why don't we go ahead and throw this on up there? Let's go big with it. Let's go over there. Let's make it pop. Let's make it pop for our friends over at Underdog. Yeah, that's crazy. They called me liars, Howard. They said that I was making it up, that we didn't have a big QR code. We do. There it is.
I think it's ginormous
in all its glory. Folks, if you want to get set up with Underdog, use promo code ALARM. Right now, they're doing a 50% deposit up to $1,000, and you get a bonus pick for these pick'ems. That's actually great. So sometimes they have ones they throw out there that are bonus picks that are kind of freebies. Like today, LeBron James, 0.5 points. So if the dude scores 1 point, if LeBron James scores 1 point, you get that one. So I always try and throw those in there whenever I'm putting these in there. But basically, you go in, check out their pick'em, and they have all these different numbers set for yardage, for stats, for fantasy points even sometimes. And we like to pick those. So go get set up there, promo code ALARM. Howard, for the game tomorrow night with the Eagles and Washington, do you have a pick at Underdog or do you not?
I got a little funky with it. You know what? I did a 3-player touchdown parlay.
Whoa, 3-player anytime.
Well, because I was building a showdown lineup, right? And I was like, you got to get Hurts and Daniels in there because they're both mobile QBs. They can both poach touchdowns. They're going to add the rushing yardage to you. But if that's the case, and you maybe want to think about sneaking in a little Saquon Barkley, then you either have to choose between A.J. Brown or Terry McLaurin, both in really good matchups here. And so because of that, because of having to choose one over the other, I put them both together here to each score a touchdown. And then I splashed in a little tush push in Jalen Hurts. So here you go. Over higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown for Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Terry McLaurin. All three of them, a $10 wager, gets you $81.30 if you do it. So bing, bang, boom. There you go.
I love that. And mine, maybe not as exciting. In fact, I'll guarantee it's not as exciting. My reasonable one for reasonable people.
My reasonable
one for reasonable people is Noah Brown higher than 3.5 receptions. Noah Brown, since essentially taking over as the wide receiver 2 behind Terry McLaurin, which has been 5 straight weeks now, he's been the wide receiver 2 for this team. The last 3 weeks, he's gotten 6 targets in all 3 games. In 4 of the last 5 games, he's gotten at least 6 targets. I'm not worried about Hail Mary that he caught. Like, that's nice and all. The targets is where we want to live. At 3.5 is where his numbers set. I'm going higher than that. I think with 6 targets, this guy usually catches 4 of them. This past week, 1 bounced off his face mask, which kind of stinks, but I trust Noah Brown. And to answer your question, Hal, we're going Noah Brown. You guys go over to Underdog, use promo code ALARM, and the same funds you use for this are the same funds that you can use in the offseason to do the best ball drafts and all that stuff with us too. So just load up now. You're going to use them. Trust me.
I like that.
Very cool.
I like that. By the way, Philadelphia ranks 20th in DVOA against the slot receiver. Just saying.
Game's easy. Game's easy, dude. Nice, boring Noah Brown, 3.5. You throw that on top of Howard's
multiplayer touchdown parlay.
Multiplayer touchdown. Let's see what it comes to when you sneak that in there. You sneak that in there, it turns Howard's 8x play into a 16x play. So, just saying.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Let's get back to the old Chatsky. Pizza Boy. Oh, Pizza Boy from the Twitch gang saying, hey.
Oh, shit.
Twitch glasses for the Twitch gang. Thank you guys for
joining. I got a different pair today.
Ooh, let me see those. Not bad. Not as crazy as your usual ones, but you went crazy with the parlay, conservative.
Crazy with the parlay, conservative with the sunglasses.
Yeah. Should I trade Smith for MVS Scantling off waivers? Well, are we talking Devonta Smith? What Smith are we talking? There's just only so many Smiths this time around, right?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, if it's Jonnu Smith, sure.
Yeah.
If it's Devonta Smith, absolutely not. I mean, here's the thing, and I guess, the MVS conversation should happen because, I got a comment on one of my TikTok videos about the fact that MVS is sliding into that Rashid Shaheed role, and he's just going to be used in that fashion to stretch the field. My issue with that, I mean, yes, I get that. I totally get that. But MVS doesn't have the same speed as Rashid Shaheed. And, he doesn't have as good hands as Rashid Shaheed. And I just kind of worry about how how the Saints are going to do that. I mean, how many times you have to be able to establish the short passing game and the intermediate passing game in order to build up that big giant play downfield. You need to be able to do that. And there's no, there's very minimal coverage that you need to do in the intermediate range. So I'm just out on MVS,
Right.
but maybe I'm wrong.
Now, it's those type players that run those type of routes have to be special, like Tyreek Hill special, guys that can consistently get targets or that you can bank on the big one, right? Which there's so few of those guys. It's just look at Alec Pierce, look at Christian Watson. They can score the big one at any given time, but they're, like Howard said, they're not running enough intermediate routes to have any consistency. Start Gesicki or Muth. If T. Higgins plays, Gesicki has zero value to me.
Yeah.
If T. Higgins is out, I would consider it in PPR just because Muth himself has not really gotten peppered. So, and same thing, Quincy. I'm going Kraft. I'm going Kraft regardless, to be honest. Kraft. The thing with Kraft that kind of stinks, he doesn't really get a lot of targets. Almost 40% of his receptions have come on 2 big plays, but the fact that he's even capable of big plays, he plays in a good offense, I would just go. Yeah. If Higgins is, and again, I update my rankings. I post them on Thursday and I update them every Sunday. So you'll see my thoughts on that before we get to that point.
Chargers rank 6th in DVOA against the tight end. Just saying.
Every once in a while, Derwin James comes down there and causes a big problem for the tight end.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson or Drake May?
We hit this earlier. We're both in on Russell Wilson over Drake May. I mean, it's a great matchup for May. There's no doubt about it. He does add the rushing aspect to it, but Russell Wilson going up against Baltimore, the Ravens need to show us that they can stop the pass before I stop using QBs against them.
Exactly. Then
unless it's going up against Geno Smith, and then I really love him too.
They've been brutal. Jonnu or Disley? Yeah.
Jonnu against Disley. That's not a bad one there. Going up against the Raiders, I think I might lean Jonnu, especially if Tyreek's wrist is still banged up. I feel like that might be the play here, even though I like Disley a lot.
Right. If this was a question of because we think since it's close enough in the target category, you got to go with the athleticism of Jonnu. Jonnu is one of so Kelsey and Kittle are in a league of their own in terms of breaking off big plays. Jonnu Smith actually over the last since he's been in the league, which is about 7 or so years, has had 7 of those plays, which is oddly 3rd on the list. Jonnu can break off chunk plays, whereas Disley's just not going to. Chase, Debo, DK, Devontae sit 1.
Ooh,
good players,
right? Why don't you sit Jamar Chase? He's terrible.
Yeah,
what's he do? He's gonna top what he did last week,
right? You almost.
I mean, that's a horror show right there. I think.
Right. I think I have all those guys ranked top 10. I guess maybe Debo.
Yeah, I guess.
Based on my rankings, I have Chase 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I guess based on my rankings, I would sit Devontae Adams. Right. He got 13 targets last week, but Debo against the Seahawks, that's pretty good. I think I would sit I guess I would sit Devontae Adams.
That's a how do you end?
Would you sit DK Metcalf? I mean, against you if Travarius Ward plays. I mean, I guess he's been banged up.
I mean, coming off the bye, I think DK is definitely going to be a good, solid guy. Let me see where I have because I jot down rankings of my own here. Let's see, where do I also have Chase as number 1, so that's an easy one there.
Right.
Yeah, I actually do have DK ranked 4th out of that group.
I think I think
he's one spot behind Devontae Adams against the Colts.
Now that I look at it as well, that's if it's full PPR, that's how I have it. I think yeah.
You're gonna have to sit DK Metcalf, but I am not happy about that at all.
I like that. Non PPR, keep Drake London in the wide receiver 2 spot or bench him for Jaden Reed or Devonta Smith.
Ooh. Ooh.
Drake London has a bad matchup, no question.
Yeah, he's got a bad matchup against Surtain. I would probably go with Devonta Smith because he'll probably see a bunch of Benjamin St. Juice. Like him and AJ Brown will both see St. Juice, especially if Marshawn Lattimore is not practicing. So I would probably go with one of those guys. Although Devonta Smith, how healthy is he?
In standard, I actually have Jaden Reed. I have Jaden Reed 16, London 17, Smith 19. And the reason being is that I always have Jaden Reed slightly higher in my standard rankings, and same with Deebo Samuel because he always gets at least a carry.
Okay.
And guys like that, it's like if all that matters is yardage and touchdowns, then those carries are actually just as valuable as receptions, right?
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. What's up, Luke? Tillman or Downs to start? It's got to be Tillman now, right?
Tillman for me. Yep.
Yeah. Big changes here. Brad McCoy from the Twitch gang. Thoughts on BTJ rest of season with Mac Jones? Should I trade him? BTJ and Chubb for Sutton and JMO? Man, Sutton the last 3 games has been straight up good. Hashtag good.
He has definitely been good. I mean, I'm okay trading BTJ now. I just, who knows what's going on with that. I don't know. Sutton and JMO, just kind of
creating a headache for yourself when you do your
I feel like because you're gonna sit there and you're gonna like constantly battle back and forth. Who am I gonna start? Sutton or JMO? And I just don't like having to make those decisions. I don't mind.
Yeah, I think I would. I think you can do better than that because I mean you're probably not going to use Chubb much with Saquon, JT, and Tracy. But yeah, all right, let's go rapid fire for a round here. Jerry, Goff against Jacksonville or Richardson versus Jets?
Goff.
Agreed. With the comments you just made about Downs, do I sit him for JSN? Also, I forgot Texans are available. So first question: Downs or JSN?
I'd probably you know what? I'd probably go JSN here.
Yep.
Over Downs because I just can't trust Anthony Richardson throwing the football.
Nope.
And Texans are definitely over the Dolphins. Definitely.
For sure. Texans might be 1. The Texans are close. Lions are 1 this week. And with Downs, like here's another stat, just a surface level stat. Josh Downs has played 8 games. He played 5 with Flacco. He played 3 with Richardson. The 3 games where Downs has had the fewest receptions were the 3 games with Richardson. That's you can go look at that one right now. You don't got to do any math on that. Drop Gesicki or Goddard to stream Knox. I mean, I would just start Goddard.
Yeah.
Like if here's the thing, if Dalton Kincaid hasn't been doing much, why do we expect Dawson Knox to be awesome all of a sudden?
Good point.
Frymuth or Engram? It's Engram. Engram caught 6 passes on 8 targets from Mac Jones. People are like, why didn't you move Engram down? I mean, Doug Peterson.
Targets.
Yeah, Doug Peterson's still the guy. Targets are king. Drop Khalil Herbert for Zamir White or Gus. If you have to start someone this week, it's Gus. Otherwise, keep Herbert, right?
Yeah, I would probably just keep him.
Just see where he goes. Happy hump day, fam. For Superflex, pick 2.
Good support group.
Yeah.
Stroud, Wilson, or Goff. Stroud and Goff for me.
Agreed. I actually have Russ ahead of Stroud.
Do you?
He's playing the Ravens. I would start Stroud.
Ravens,
based on my rankings, I would bench Goff.
Stroud against Dallas? Come on.
I would start Stroud and Wilson. I would bench Goff. That's how I have it. Goff against.
You're benching Goff against the Jags?
I mean the Ravens. I mean the Ravens have been worse than the Jags in terms of passing yards. I don't know if they're going to have to throw a ton.
I think somebody might be overthinking a little.
Dan Shorts, my team sucked, but the show is great. Well, at least
you're
having fun. Like I said on Twitter.
At least you didn't say the show sucks, but my team's great.
Yeah. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun, everyone. Brian Thomas over MVS.
Oh, yeah.
Which kicker goes crazy this week? Moody, Bass, Romo, or Z Gonzalez?
Zane Gonzalez. You know,
I have Moody the highest
I'd probably go Moody here. I think he shakes off last week's struggles.
in Seattle. He's got Kelsey, big bando, so that makes sense for that trade. Start
Oh yeah.
Darnold or Kirk Cousins. You could also pick up Drake May.
Oh, Darnold against Kirk Cousins. Cousins with that Broncos secondary that he's got to face on the road in the outdoors. I'd probably lean Darnold here.
Yeah. Now the question is, I do have Drake May ranked ahead just for this week, but is it worth dropping one of those guys to pick him up?
I don't think it's worth dropping.
I don't think it's worth dropping him. Yeah, same thing that we do with defense, where it's like it's not worth dropping a better player long term. Who should I pick off waivers? Dawson Knox, Ferg, Komet, Frymuth, or Taysom Hill? Honestly, I'm just going to pick up Ferg because again, targets are king. With a lot of these guys that are getting 4 or 5 targets, or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like Ferg is still going to be targeted. I'm just sticking with the targets.
I'm just gonna say this, and you're not gonna like it, Coop.
Chasing touchdowns with Taysom Hill again.
No. I'm actually eyeballing Cole Kmet going up against the Packers. The Packers been terrible against the tight end this season.
Squeaky wheel?
What's that?
Squeaky wheel game?
I mean, it's not so much the squeaky wheel as much as it is if you're trying to help develop Caleb Williams and you're worried about his accuracy, you need the short, high percentage passing. And that goes to Cole Kmet.
A story did come out as well that DJ Moore and Cole Kmet complained directly to Ryan Poles and that they wanted Tyson Bagent at QB. So it could be squeaky wheel on top of that.
Squeaky wheel getting that grease. I'm just gonna lean Kmet on this one here. Coop, I understand what you're saying about Ferg. If you wanted to go double or nothing on our on a pie bet here, Ferg versus Kmet, I'd be happy to do that too.
I just can't. I just look at the game log for Cole Kmet and I'm like, no,
it's terrible. I know,
terrible. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing any pie bet on tight ends I don't like.
I'm taking the Bears plus the 6.5 points.
We can do tight ends I do like if you want to do a pie bet.
I'm just saying, taking the Bears plus the 6.5.
I think that's reasonable. Fire Waldron. Dead cat bounce. Estime Hawkinson, Hunter Henry.
Estime Hawkinson, Hunter Henry. I guess in this case here, I'd probably take it's PPR. I'd probably go with Hawkinson.
Yeah, just go Hawk. I mean, the thing about Hawk, he's played 45% and 46% of the snaps. He's still got a bunch of targets last week. I'm hoping that they're not just going to rotate him and to try and manage his health or whatever. I'm hoping that this week is his week. He gets 60% or 70%. But if he's going to get the targets, even with the low snap share, who cares? I traded D-Hop and Justin Jefferson for Pickens and Barkley. Did I F up? I think that's a fair trade.
Yeah, I think it's huge boost at running back there with Barkley. Huge boost. Yeah. Right. And you're getting a solid guy in Pickens who I think sits in between D-Hop and Jefferson.
Right. I just wish you were able to just trade Jefferson. Oh, no, I think that I actually really like that trade because I think Jefferson for Barkley is a fair trade straight up. Jefferson for Barkley, and I think I have Pickens over D-Hop because Pickens has been great and he's got a great matchup. I like it. Green Bay or Jets D? Jets D is in a good spot. Right?
Jets D against Anthony Richardson. I'm still gonna go with Green Bay.
Yeah,
I'm just anti-Jets right now. I like the Jets as much as Greg likes Benjamin St-Juste.
Right. Lattimore still out. Good trade. Good trade for them. Baker and Cousins should pick up Wilson or Nix off waivers.
Yeah. I would start Wilson over Cousins this week.
Mm-hmm. Do it. Hurts or Jaden Daniels, bench one. You gotta start Jalen Hurts.
Gotta start Jalen Hurts.
QB1 this week for me. Start Downs with Richardson now at QB. If you can avoid it, I might not. I think he's still going to be. He's going to be in between because he's like, he won't be as bad as he was in the games where he had like one catch. That's for sure. But you can't expect the crazy game where go back and please, everyone, I implore you. It's on my timeline at Coupe Fiasco. Go look at the blown play that was the touchdown for Richardson. There was no one even on the screen. So you can't count on that either. Daniels or Lamar?
I'm going to go with Lamar.
It's Lamar.
Can't go against him.
Confident started Cedric. Are we?
Ooh. Kept Lamb in over Judy and Dobbs in other leagues. Lean the same this week. Are we at that point of just hope Lamb breaks one?
I can't.
I mean, I can't endorse that. I'm sorry.
But you can do it. Just don't tell me about it.
Don't ask me if I like it.
Yeah, don't tell me until afterwards. Like you can say I started him last week. That's fine. Downs, Devonta Smith, Mooney, sit one.
Sit downs.
You gotta sit downs. Same question. Start Downs or Cooper? Is Amari Cooper going to play?
If Amari Cooper's playing, then that's what I'm doing.
I low on Debo. I'm not sure if you can get a discount on Debo, but I like Debo.
But if you can, go for it.
Yep. Flex one, and this is FFPC, so it's tight end premium. Downs, estimate Tolbert or Hunter Henry.
I think I might go Hunter Henry here. I'm going back to the well. I know that last week was terrible. I'm going back to it.
89% snap share, 87% route participation, 16% target share. He just didn't catch. 16% of not a lot of targets is 4 targets, and he only caught 1. But I think Hunter Henry is still good, especially in tight end premium. Are you guys streaming at tight end in your leagues? Starting Hunter Henry, guys like Hunter Henry. Starting
Henry and
like
Disley are the two streamers.
Disley, yeah. Zach Ertz if you have to. That's kind of the way. Or worst case scenario, Dawson Knox, right? Drop Tolbert for Kayshon Boutte.
I'm okay with that.
I'd say yeah. Thanks for the advice. Of course. Drop Rome to get Ricky.
Yes.
Bears are bad. DJ or BTJ, full PPR. Squeaky wheel game for DJ Moore.
Squeaky wheel.
Right. The quarterback play for Mac Jones versus Caleb Williams is, I mean, come on. Thank you for tuning in, Jerry. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. There is no show without you guys. The questions fuel the show, the likes, the subscribes, that's everything. So we appreciate you guys. That's the only reason we do this. You think Howard and I would be up here if you guys weren't hanging out, dude? Just kind of being like, what do you think about, you know what I mean? The whole show is you guys. So we appreciate you guys. Last couple questions here, then we'll get you guys out of here. Rodgers or May from Shirley?
Oh.
Come on, Howard. Come on, Ed. Come on, Ed.
I mean, I'll probably go Drake May over Aaron Rodgers.
It's very close,
but really close because, I mean, the Colts secondary is bad, and it is Adams and Garrett Wilson, and the Jets are going to be throwing, and the Jets are going to be desperate.
Yeah, the only difference is May is willing to run.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean? He's out there running scrambling around. I think you guys cook up some sloppy joes.
Oh no, sloppy doughs. That's my boy. That's my boy Dan, who's chilling out. He's on a hunting trip right now.
Oh, nice.
Right,
dude.
so he probably got himself a little buck or something like that, and got him making himself some sloppy doughs. I love that, man. He's awesome, the guy, dude. Coop, who turned me on to Soldier Boy beef jerky.
Yeah. That rocks, dude.
And Cookies barbecue sauce, by the way. 2 of my faves.
Being on some sort of trip or vacation, can you imagine such a thing? How hard to go after Mike Evans? Trade Dell, McConkey, Jennings. I have AJ and Mooney. I mean, I would trade any of those guys straight up, but would you trade a combination of those?
I would do 2 out of those 3 for Mike Evans. If you've got AJ Brown and Darnell Mooney already, I would trade any combination of the 2, Dell, McConkey, Jennings, for Mike Evans right now. Right now. You got to do it right now.
Yep. I'm fully in on that. All right, here we go. Devonta Smith for MVS. No, Devonta Smith. I'm not sure what that question was. The answer is no.
That was the one before when he asked about, we said Smith for MVS, and we said which one?
Keep Devonta Smith. Yes. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Howard will be on the SiriusXM show tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be on with him Thursday and Friday, as well as Sunday morning on this YouTube channel. Tomorrow, before kickoff, as always, if you have any last-minute questions, we'll have John Impemba and Eric Romoff hanging out right up to kickoff, 7 to 8. On Friday, I have a guest on, which will be a lot of fun, and 1 to 2. And then on Sunday, John Impemba and I, last-minute questions, 11 to noon, right here. Thank you guys for tuning in, liking,